today, we are going to be covering the House races and Senate races. Republican Ron DeSantis has endorsed many candidates. DeSantis has a very low approval rating, so the candidates he endorsed are likely to do worse from the endorsement rather than better. Here is DeSantis' favorability rating. This will explain why him endorsing candidates will hurt them rather than help them. This is because his approval rating is at 34% of registered voters, and his disapproval rating is at 63% of registered voters, with a 3% undecided. This is a net negative 29% approval. President DeSantis has endorsed the following for Senate: Tom Tillis of North Carolina, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, John James of Michigan, John Cornyn of Texas, and Jody Hice of Georgia. And then, of course, a bunch of others in solid Democratic states. We are sorry for the error that we could not get poll closings in to work. So here is our first call of the evening. Kentucky. John Blanton will easily win in the state of Kentucky. Georgia. John Ossoff would win at poll closing time, defeating Jody Hice. Mark Warner will easily win in the state of Virginia. And in the state of South Carolina, it is too close to call. 2% of the vote is in. Joe Cunningham is at 59.7% of the vote. Lindsey Graham is at 38.1%. Here's the current map. Virginia and Georgia are Democratic holds. Kentucky is a Republican hold, and South Carolina is too close to call. Here's our 7:30 p.m. poll closings. Polls are closed in the states of North Carolina and West Virginia. In the state of West Virginia, Shelley Capito will easily win in re-election in the state of West Virginia. In the state of North Carolina, Jeff Jackson versus Tom Tillis. 4% of the vote is in. Jeff Jackson currently leads by 6.4. It is now 8 p.m. poll closings, and polls are now closed in the states of Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Illinois, New Jersey, Delaware, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. Alabama. Tommy Tuberville will easily win re-election in the U.S. Mississippi. Cindy Hyde-Smith will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. Jim Inhofe in Oklahoma, another easy victory for the Republican Party. And in the state of Tennessee, another easy victory for the Republican Party. Bill Hagerty will easily win re-election. Delaware, however, Chris Coons, a Democrat, will win re-election. Jeanne Shaheen in New Hampshire, we are sorry for the misdo on the image there, but Jeanne Shaheen will easily win re-election in the state of New Hampshire. In the state of New Jersey, Cory Booker will easily win re-election. In the state of Massachusetts, Ed Markey will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. Rhode Island, Jack Reed is going to win re-election to the U.S. Senate. In the state of Maine, it is too close to call between Jared Golden and Susan Collins. The incumbent Republican Susan Collins is very popular, however, politics is so polarized and it is expected to be a political year now. We will see what happens here. Here's our current map. The too close to call states are North Carolina, Maine, and South Carolina. Everything else so far being called. We have a major projection at 8:03 p.m. In the state of North Carolina, Jeff Jackson will defeat Tom Tillis. This is a gain for the Democratic Party. This is shown with 54.6% of the vote being for Jeff Jackson, and 43.4% of the vote is for Tom Tillis, with 59% in. This is an 11.2% lead for Jeff Jackson, and we can expect him to win. Here we have our current map. North Carolina, the first Democratic pickup of the evening. It is now time for 8:30 p.m. poll closings in only the state of Arkansas. In the state of Arkansas, Tom Cotton will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. This is our current map. All that has changed is Arkansas. 9 p.m. poll closings are here, and polls are now closed in the states of Colorado, Louisiana, Minnesota, Michigan, Nebraska, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, New Mexico, and Wyoming. In the state of Louisiana, Bill Cassidy will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. In the state of Nebraska, Ben Sasse will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. In the state of South Dakota, Mike Brown will win re-election. In the state of Wyoming, Cynthia Lummis will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate, the most solidly Republican state in the nation. In the state of Colorado, John Hickenlooper will win re-election to the U.S. Senate pretty easily. In the state of Minnesota, Tina Smith will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. In the state of New Mexico, Ben Ray Lujan will easily win re-election to the Senate. In the state of Kansas, it is very close between Laura Kelly and Roger Marshall. It is a 0.4% difference with 9% of the vote. The Republican lead is expected to grow throughout the night, but anything can change. The state of Michigan, Gary Peters has a significant lead above John James, who is running for Senate a fourth consecutive time, has lost the last 3 times, and is expected to lose again tonight. Gary Peters, however, does have a lead of 8.3% with 6% of the vote. Texas, here is a big one. Julian Castro is, or Julian Castro, however you say his name, with 50.7% of the vote, with 8% in, leading by 2.7 over incumbent Republican John Cornyn, who is very unpopular in the state of Texas. Here's our current map. We can add Texas, Kansas, and Michigan to be too close to call us. However, Minnesota, Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, Louisiana, Nebraska, and South Dakota have all been called for their respective parties. Here's a major projection coming right up. The Democratic Party will win control of the House of Representatives. This is very early on, and we can expect this majority to expand. At 10 p.m. poll closings, we're ready to report votes from the state of Iowa and the state of Montana. In the state of Montana, Wilmot Collins, however you say his name, is losing by 10 or 12 points to Steve Daines. Steve Daines has 55.4% of the vote with 15% in, and is leading by 11.5%. In the state of Iowa, Joni Ernst has a narrow lead of 2.4% against Democrat Cindy Axne with 15% in. Here is the current map. We can now add Montana and Iowa to be too close to call us. It is now time for 11 p.m. poll closings. We have polls closed in the states of Idaho and Oregon. In the state of Idaho, Jim Risch will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. In the state of Oregon, Jeff Merkley will easily win re-election to the U.S. Senate. And this is huge for the Democrats because they now have Senate control. Jeff Merkley was the 51st senator to be called tonight on the Democratic side. We can also project that in the state of Maine, Susan Collins will be defeated by Jared Golden. Excuse us. This is a gain for the Democratic Party, and Jared Golden should be very happy with this. And here's the map. Jared Golden is leading by 6.4%. However, some Republican areas are still expected to come in. We just do not believe enough for Susan Collins to win. Here's the current map. North Carolina and Maine are the Democratic pickups of the night. So far, anyway. And nothing else has changed besides Idaho. It is now 1 a.m. on the East Coast, and the last state for polls to close is the state of Alaska, here right now. However, first we have a major projection to make. The state of Michigan, Gary Peters will defeat John James for the fourth consecutive time in a row. John James has ran for Senate in Michigan and lost. Gary Peters has won re-election for the 11 or 12.1% as of now. This lead is expected to decrease. However, with 88% in, we can project that Gary Peters is going to win. In the state of Alaska, Dan Sullivan will easily win. Now, this was actually a pretty close race. However, Alaska has counted their votes pretty fast today. Here's the current map. Alaska has been added to the map, as well as Michigan, which has gone blue. We have a major projection to make at 1:22 a.m. on the East Coast. In the state of Texas, Julian Castro will defeat John Cornyn. This is a gain for the Democratic Party. Julian Castro will defeat John Cornyn. Will defeat John Cornyn by 4% approximately. 81% in, and Democratic areas still counting. We can reject Julian Castro will easily win. Well, not easily win, but will win the Senate race. However, we can also project that Roger Marshall will defeat Laura Kelly in this contested Senate race. This was a very close race, as you can see here. Laura Kelly is down by 0.1%, and Republican areas still counting. Laura Kelly was up for a while, but once Roger Marshall surpassed her in vote count, there are still a few votes from Riley County, but that's the only Democratic county with votes left to count. Here's our current map. Kansas has remained red, and Texas has flipped to the Democrats. John Cornyn has lost re-election. The only states that are too close to call now are Montana, Iowa, and South Carolina. We have a major projection coming right up. The state of Iowa, Joni Ernst will defeat Cindy Ashley. This was a very competitive race with 95% of the vote in. Democratic areas are coming in still, but it will not be enough for Cindy Ashley to make up that 1.1% lead that Joni Ernst has as of now. In Montana, Steve Daines will defeat Wilmo or Romont Collins. This is a lead of 7%, approximately 6.7 to be exact. With 92% in, we can project that Montana will go to the Republican Party. This is the current map. Montana and Iowa have been called for the Republican Party, and it is now one last state to call in the state of South Carolina. It is now the next morning on the East Coast, 8:08 a.m., and we have a major projection out of the state of South Carolina. Will Joe Cunningham defeat Lindsey Graham and make history in South Carolina by making it go blue for the first time in decades, or will Lindsey Graham hold on? Let's find out. Joe Cunningham has defeated Lindsey Graham in the state of South Carolina. This is a gain for the Democratic Party, and Joe Cunningham is the first Democrat to win statewide in decades. This is a huge win for the Democratic Party. The Democrats have been trying very hard to win here. Here is the final map of South Carolina. There is not actually a map, but 99% of the vote is in, and Joe Cunningham is leading by 0.1%. This is one of the closest races we ever have seen in the United States Senate. A 0.1% lead for Joe Cunningham. This lead is not expected to narrow up, as there are only a few votes left coming in from Charleston is located, which is typically a Democratic county. So we can project that Joe Cunningham is going to defeat Lindsey Graham in the state of South Carolina. Here is the final map. We have flips in the states of Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Maine. And here's the balance of power. Democrats have 54 Senate seats to the Republican Party's 46 Senate seats, and Democrats have 247 House seats to the 188 Republican House seats. This is huge for the Democratic Party, and now we will see what happens next. The Democratic Party now has control of Congress. Here is the final map with margins. Montana, Mississippi, and Louisiana were likely Republican. South Carolina was tilt Democrat. Please excuse us for Arizona and the blue dot in Georgia. These were not races that happened tonight, but they have gone blue, and it is a 54 to 46 seat majority for the Democratic Party. Kansas, Iowa, and Alaska have all narrowly gone blue. Democrats were hoping to flip these races, and they were unsuccessful.